Hey parents, Dr. Devin. Imagine you have a child that anytime there's a change in the weather, the seasons, that they struggle with a runny, snotty nose, nasal congestion. Or imagine that you have a child that when they're around other kids, because whether they have snotty nose, nasal congestion because of things like teething or seasonal allergies or common cold, that your child also gets it. Well, that's not just an imaginary story for a lot of families. That's the real life struggle, and we hear constantly countless number of families that I have a child that's it seems like they're stuck on a merry-go-round that they can never get off, where it's a slight snotty nose leading to an ear infection, leading to, a chronic cough or something that gets just even deeper into the system. And you've exhausted all other avenues, whether it be a neti pot, whether it be humidifiers, essential oils, supplementation, over-the-counter things like Allegra and Zyrtec, or even some heavy hitters like Flonase and other steroids as well to suppress the symptoms that are stuck and locked in here. Well, I want to bring some clarity as to why those things may not be working for you. And this reminds me of a story of a little boy that we take care of in the office named Henry. And anytime Henry had the slightest runny nose, his mom would report, it's here we go again. 2 weeks of illness, ear infections over and over and over again, sleepless nights, and constant, countless struggles throughout this 2 week time frame, rather than him kicking it in a short period of time, right? His nervous system, his body was stuck in this repetitive cycle. And that's what we're going to talk about today and bring some clarity today, is that other providers, other practitioners are going to, traditional approaches are going to look at this as an outside in approach, looking at the environment, whether it be allergens, whether it be bugs and pathogens, looking at how that is getting into the system, but then also treating it through outside in approaches like we talked about with the neti pot, the humidifier, the essential oils, the over the counter medications. But the way we look at it in our office is we look at it from an inside out approach, and we've been doing this year after year after year. And there's one thing that is at the root cause, that is literally the culprit of repetitive sinus challenges, nasal congestion, burning itchy eyes. And what that is that it's the result of a subluxation, right? You may have heard that these are common terms for you: common cold, stuffy nose, right? Things like that. But a subluxation, it may be something that is relatively new to you. So when we look at what a subluxation is, well, first it's stress, then that causes increased tension, and that's what then leads to this congestion. So the stress, specifically a misalignment, a fixation of the upper neck or the actual cranial bones itself, doesn't allow for proper movement to happen, and that's literally what causes a reduced range of motion. So the fluid in the sinuses, in the ears, in the nose, what have you, it's designed to drain down the system. But if something is stuck, something is fixated, something is not moving properly, it will not allow for that fluid to move properly down the system. What that then causes is what's called a neurological imbalance, because the brain senses something is irritated, something is inflamed, something needs to be protected, something is not moving the way that it could and should be. So our brain then goes into what's called fight or flight mode, stress mode, sympathetic dominance, which is a pro-inflammatory cascade, which increases the amount of mucus being stuck in this area. So when we have frequent stressors on the nervous system, whether it be physical stressors of birth, going through childhood development, frequent falls and tumbles and bumps, what that often does is create this fixation, this misalignment, which then increases the tone and tension. And because going through birth or having falls, hitting our head, learning how to sit up and toppling over, that creates a lot of stress on the upper neck. And why that's so important is because of how close it is to the sinuses. So when this area becomes stuck, when it becomes, for lack of a better word, jammed up, the fluid that's designed to drain down either the sinuses, the ears, what have you, is designed to drain down the system. So if things get shifted here, the brain is going to protect it. It's going to put in more tone and tension, which will not allow for that fluid to go down the system. So whether you've tried, like we talked about, neti pots and humidifiers and different supplements and things like that to clean up the excess mucus getting stuck in this area. If you've tried all those approaches and you're still not seeing the change happen, this is where things that we do in our office are slightly different, because by getting this area to clear out, by getting that area to function the way that it could and should be, by calming down the nervous system in this location specifically, will allow for the fluid to flow down the system appropriately, whether it's going into the lungs to be coughed out or all the way through and moved out through the bottom. That mucus, that fluid, is designed to drain down the system. But how we clear that out is through specific, gentle neurological adjustments. And how that happens is through very, very light touch to specific areas to have and restore the function back to the nervous system. So if you're someone with a child, you yourself are struggling with chronic nasal challenges, and other remedies just aren't working for you, well, dive into this. Give us a call, right? DM us, message us on social media, share the article that I'm going to link to. Take a look at that, because when we have chronic n- nasal congestion, often it's the result of a massive neurological challenge. And what I mean by that is nasal congestion leads to other big challenges, whether it be in the upper respiratory or the lower respiratory going into the lungs in the form of bronchitis or pneumonia, or nasal congestion then leading to a sleepless night or a more exhausted nervous system, then getting expressed on the outside with a child with emotions and behaviors, right? If you're looking to really look and get to the root cause of where these challenges come from, give us a call, right? We are here to help. So I hope this finds you well. Have a blessed day.